It's 9:55 in the USA where I'm at, but I'm going to play the song by Tiesto at the beginning, which is named 10:35 p.m. is what it said. Thank you for tuning in wherever you're at. This is the Easter weekend here in the USA. It was also the same week as Passover, so it's a big religious holiday weekend. It's also a weekend where a lot of people, I don't know, Easter has this weird effect in the US of being like the reverse of Halloween. And, it's got the candy and the Easter baskets kind of look like they sort of look more like Halloween buckets, or maybe Halloween buckets are look more like Easter baskets. It's interesting. But, Lent, of course, ended earlier this week. I'm still sticking with some of my Lenten diet choices for personal reasons. Um, as you know, I don't commit to one specific religious group, but I think it's good health practice to do some kind of Lenten fast, and then I decided to just stick with mine because it was some dietary choices. So, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do my makeup for you right now. Hopefully, you caught the teaser last night, which was me singing a song that I originally wrote. It was performed by Lana Del Rey, "Born to Die." What's interesting about that song is that I put some stuff in it to kind of, and I've talked about this before in the Thought Project, is I put some stuff in so that you would know. Um, I wrote it for Kendrick and Buffalo Bills people and didn't get paid for it. So in the beginning, I put some stuff in that sounds a little psychotic. So, like the little, why? Who me? Like that's to make it sound a little weird. It's got the techno-y thing, so it's really obvious that it's just not like my exact style. And I remember a long time ago, like over 10 years ago, I had to tell the DOJ, how would I have done it if it had been actually, if I got to keep it as my own song and not had it given away and was being trafficked. I said I would have done it with a piano. Um, so somebody actually made a version. Well, anyways, I went ahead and decided to do a piano version of it last night, performed it for you all. So that's in my YouTube teasers. But if you're wondering about the Lana Del Rey song "Born Day," I wrote the original version of it, and then worked on the techno version, which sounds more weird. By the way, I did do. I can't believe I did that, but I did do some planning on the Kendrick Lamar show for the Super Bowl, which is why you have the girls with the interlude in the middle of it that are like, "Are you really gonna do it?" And like that kind of stuff. If you're wondering where those transitions and interludes come from in performances, it's from the old jazz age in the U.S. and minstrel numbers. But let's get moving with the show. So I'm actually gonna put on my makeup now. And play music for you. So we're gonna do the music, and I'm gonna do my makeup. And I hope you're having a good Saturday night in the USA. If you're here, if you're in another country, I hope you're enjoying that too. And we're talking about all the crazy stuff this week of the news and some other stuff. It was a really long week for me. Oh my gosh, I don't know that. It's like an ad playing in the middle of it. I hate that. Let's see. I'm gonna look for a different. Let's do. Okay, I'm gonna do a different song here. Let's play. Heidi Montag has this new song out that's kind of funny, and I think it's really good for me to do my makeup too. So I'm gonna play it for you. It's called "Do It," but it's very funny. Like it's actually kind of hilarious. But I'm gonna play it and do makeup. Okay. Heidi Montag. It's pretty campy. Like my little light in the back. Check out that line. She's like, bitch, I'll do this. Do the white, right? Actually, no. Let's do eyeshadow.
You're waiting for your doggy, playing slots, blackjack, and more. How about a jackpot, baby? It's all the fun of the casino floor.
New players play $5 and get.
Oh my gosh, there's an ad like on the show and I don't want it in. Ew. It's so gross. Let's see. There's so much to do on commentary from this past week that I'm just like, oh my gosh, let's do Don Omar Virtual Diva, right? That's a fun one. I love his stuff. It's a little older, but you know, it's a good song.
She's on fire. Te encendía, con la sangre ahí prendía. Hoy no quiere ver la luz del día. No trajo tuvo en esta noche anda perdida. Su sistema seductivo calentándose. Mientras que su frecuencia está sintiéndose. Fluido corporal interpretándose. Robótica en la pista está luciéndose. Chequea cómo se menea. Tiene algo de robot en su táctica, le agotó la batería, su técnica, su modelo vino con cintura plástica, con los movimientos de la mujer biónica. Tiene algo de robot en su táctica, le agotó la batería, su técnica, su modelo vino con cintura plástica, con los movimientos de la mujer biónica. Cheque cómo se menea, ella es ese sueño que tuve despierto, un recuerdo leve de esto que siento, una sacudida a mis salidas, la cima de un beso en un brinco suicida, su fuente de energía cautiva mis sensores, pues no hay quien la controle, con duda y encendía, tiene dentro esa chispa que quema transistores y bebe de un elixir que enciende sus motores. Salir esto bailar una vida virtual. Chequea cómo se menea. Sencillo. Chequea cómo se menea. Sencillo. Estamos trabajando por encima de sus expectativas.
We're doing pretty even.
De eso se trata. Algunos años luz antes que todos ustedes. Siempre voy a vivir ahí. No mire para mi galaxia.
With over 2 billion monthly users, YouTube Ads makes it easy to expand your reach, target the right audience, and turn viewers into customers. Let your business be seen with YouTube Ads.
Okay, I'm still trying to find brow stuff right now, otherwise I'd be like moving a little faster.
¿Comprar o no comprar?
Woo.
Esa es la cuestión. Y nadie conoce mejor a los compradores que Shopify, el campeón indiscutible del proceso de pago.
I got kind of off track with my eyebrows
Hasta un
tonight.
50%. Lo cual significa menos de esto y mucho más de esto. Si quieres ganar con tu negocio, gana con Shopify.
So obviously you can see like in regular life I don't have eyebrows that big. I don't even have 5 eyebrows like this. Yeah, no. And not even just like by myself would I have eyebrows like that. I just do this for like literally for the camera and then take them down. I don't even think I go that hard with my eyebrows at the beach. But even for the shows or for pictures. It's just kind of one of those like days, you know, but let's get going. I need to find another song that's fun. Let's do this. Let's play a Heidi Montag song one more time while I finish doing my makeup. Try to just get moving, get this done. Those are way too dark. Okay.
Trees, I know that you're gonna love 'em. Eat my panties off of me.
My eyebrows are gonna make me laugh all throughout this episode, by the way. Oh no, we got something in Cyrillic, but I can't read. I'm sorry, I cannot read Cyrillic. Okay, and that sounds good. Let's turn this off for just a little bit. We're gonna get some topics from this past week. It has been a crazy, crazy week up here in Northern Michigan, actually. We were classified this week as a transnational area. So we are now considered, I think that's like a nice way of saying we have problems with transnational crime as far as I can tell, which is already obviously true if we have all these different, like, celebrities who aren't really celebrities come up here, and we have rich people and, you know, everybody else coming through in financial banking and everything else. And, you know, we don't have the skyrocketing rental prices that other areas have, thank God, but that's because the winters are so hard. But I can tell you, like, last summer was really crazy. I don't think they're going to see the same push they saw over the summer with tourism, just because the way things have changed since last year. But what I can tell you about that too is that our winter was a lot more intense than anybody expected it to be, with there being more people in the area than anyone I think really expected than they'd had before. Like, usually it's like really dead, and it wasn't this winter. So anyways, I mean, I told you about Lauren Sanchez, I call him Larry Sanchez, being up here briefly. Nobody wanted to acknowledge her or him. You know, Ben Affleck was up here having something out with Jennifer Garner. I think they did some, like, publicity photos here and then claimed it was in California, and it was filmed, like, right up here. But it was like he put a bunch of stuff down with her from people. And it's really awkward. I don't know if it was that public, but I think it was for some of us. Like, I get dragged into things I don't want to be dragged into anymore. And a lot of it has to do with these bizarre corporate conflicts, and, you know, people, like, want to pull everybody else back into their stuff, and it's like, please don't, you know. If your witnesses, they witness it, but I don't want to be anything else to this stuff. So it's really uncomfortable sometimes. But, you know, I told you in the last episode, the way people handle up here is they're very used to wealthy people traveling up here and wanting to be left alone. And I think it's really important to remember that what all of us have decided to do is, whether they're in the weird club of people who want to claim you owe them money if you recognize them in one of their, like, alter egos, or if they're in a club of people who just are wealthy and want to be left alone, none of us ever acknowledge them or say anything. Just treat them like normal, you know, and don't, it's really the best thing to do. You know, just not get involved and don't say anything too much. Hi! So glad some of you could join me this evening. So let's get back to, let's see. Yeah, I mean, if you're still confused about any of this, you know, with the whole Ben, Jen, J-Lo thing, Jen Garner was actually a man. J-Lo was tied to Luther College, labor trafficking. So was Ben Affleck, actually. You know, as you probably realized, as I explained past with some of the labor trafficking, like, J-Lo was forced to do a really bad movie, and a lot of stuff that's put her to her end, and then go through a divorce or a fake divorce with Ben. And there's this weird thing with the three of them, like, having to be a focal point. I think the reality is that for the rest of us who've been dragged through some of this with them, it's dumb, and that's why I did the thought project, just so you know, so people could have the whole, like, rundown on what's going on and what's really going on, and then what's going on for the U.S. government as well. And then Russia, the Chinese CCP conflict, Russian FSB conflict, because you're actually into, like, geopolitical weirdness, and gangs. the reality is, it isn't really just enough for her to be sort of dogged and wear bad outfits and have to make bad movies. Like, people actually have to be extracted from these situations. That's clearly what happened with the whole Ben Affleck, Jen Garner, like J-Lo triangle, was extracting, whoever could be from it. Because J-Lo is a member of the Russian FSB and also somebody who, she's set to testify against P. Diddy, and it's going to be up here in Michigan, just so you're aware. So that's coming up. And I think it's really important for the rest of us to just be very clear about that. She's somebody who's guilty of multiple murders, multiple crimes. She openly stated that she brought people illegally to the U.S. to work as slaves here. And I spent a lot of time interviewing people back in the 2000s who told me that they had been brought here illegally. They said she was responsible, and other groups that relate to the Russian FSB that we call today, we call them Beltrán we call them MS-13. Some of you are aware of Endeavor Corporation, which is actually founded by a Russian FSB and is a part of all these different gang groups. Was formerly just called a corporation. Now it's considered a terrorist group with the extraction of YG Entertainment from that. Because it was YG Entertainment that bought into them to get control of their labor trafficking and put a stop to a lot of it, along with the actions of the U.S. Department of Labor. So, where I'm coming to at this point is we need to talk about Lauren Sanchez, who's actually a man from Cambodia, which we went through earlier this week. And, the reason I want to go through all of that for you again is that, I had a fantastic time making the episodes on like Monday where I had, I cut up the blue bikini top and all that stuff. But, I knew Lauren personally, and in the sense that she posed as a student at Luther College, which was a labor camp, went by the name Megan Gilpin, is a man, a Cambodian man, and it was just horrible. A total psychopath, would literally show up to events with his mustache showing. And it was just obviously this weird little Cambodian dude with his hair grown out that was there, and was constantly talking about wanting to put women in films and having them trafficked and murdered, and is actually an active member of the Khmer Rouge. And really psychotic and frightening. And so to see him last Sunday just strolling down the street here, making gang signs at us, was just horrible. Also, it shows you where we're at with this whole thing with, what is this Blue Origin crap that I already went through on Monday. So what I like about this past week as far as the media is that to understand this correctly, you need to understand that Blue Origin, you know what, I think I'm done with Jeff Bezos as well as Katy Perry after all this. I could finally say that, because here's the thing. Larry Sanchez is an overt child trafficker. And I don't have time to talk about how he's supposed to be a celebrity and famous and this great guy, who's pretending to be a woman and goes around with his weird press-on boobs and other stupid crap. Because I had told him to his face like over 20 years ago that I was going to survive everything he came up with and he was going to be sorry for his behaviors. And you understand this whole Blue Origin thing is nothing more than a setup to traffic people. And so I want you to understand that, because if anyone ever asks you about Blue Origin or if you'd be interested in taking with a flight, say no. Just say no. Because those people are so crazy. She's still part of the Weird Endeavor crowd. And if you ever accidentally say you'd like to take a flight, like, you might be thinking that you would pay for it or set up yourself or just be nice. They're complete psychopaths and will take you seriously, or even just try to pretend that they took you seriously and would just like drag you off on a flight and charge you for it possibly, or just traffic you over it. So I wouldn't do anything with them at all. And what I also need to remember is that at least two of the people on the flight are actually men, because Gal King's a man. And, so is Lauren Sanchez, who I like to joke around and call Larry Sanchez. And you can call him Larry Sanchez too. To his face, even if you see him. Just be like, hey, Larry Sanchez, what's up? We're gonna be grabbing no babies today. Because that's what he does. He's a really nasty trafficker. So, and I think what else is really important to remember is that, so Katy Perry, let's talk about Katy Perry. She's getting trolled all over the place for this, and finally somebody put together, because I was a student of Yoko Ono who went by the name Cherko Heber, but I knew her, but it was Yoko Ono when I was a kid. And we talked about a song I was going to put together for her. I'm going to do some history review for you. And it's that whale song she does. She does it in a gallery over in Japan and performs it really well. It's one where she's like, wow, like that one? Yeah, I made that song for her. And she had said, find a meme to put it together with, and then, you know, you're gonna move forward in your life. You're gonna go down to DC. You're gonna talk about having your mom and those other events. We're gonna work on these issues. You're gonna work on these issues, and you're gonna make some contacts, and you're gonna find somebody else who can do something with my performance of that. Because she didn't do that performance that long ago. And I did. I connected with a guy through the boards I was on, who then took her stuff and put it into a bunch of joke memes. She said, make it something funny and be metacritical. And so that guy put her stuff into a bunch of pop songs. The joke is every time its name's a different song, but it's just her doing the whale song. Or I call it the whale song. And then the next version of that is that somebody went this week and made fun of Katy Perry and basically put in like her and then a bunch of guitar specialists. And then, you know, they make fun of Katy Perry during it. And then at the end, they like blow up a porta potty. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, wow, all the work I put in, all those years of being labor trafficked and beaten and raped and, you know, the craziness really paid off finally, because that might be the most epic piece of material that's come out that actually gets it right. Martha Stewart is now trolling Katy Perry because of her own experiences actually being flight and not making fun of women or putting them down or making fun of women in sciences. The fact that the airplane actually looks like a giant condom and a sex toy, and that people have even gone so far as to making fun of it and calling it a sex toy, which is Russian obfuscation strategy to say it looks like a sex toy, to talk about how it looks sexy, and, you know, go straight for demeaning women as a result of it when these aren't even women, you know, because let's be honest, Gail King, Larry Sanchez are men, and I'm sorry, I think Katy Perry is a man. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if these are all men. Larry Sanchez does not have that kind of body in real life, doesn't have a curvy body, doesn't have long legs. Short little weird man. You don't believe me? I'm gonna get the picture from Luther College. You can see what that person actually looks like, because I am done with that bitch. It was bad enough when Entertainment News hired him just to do an investigation into him, which they never really aired on TV. They did do a pretty good job of airing some of the footage of some of the other people, but they just didn't really like. What they did was more covert information gathering on him and the trafficking situation. And then, you know, for the U.S. government, the Department of Justice, and really for any other interest group that cared about stopping labor trafficking. But, you know, what you saw, we were subjected to, I mean, I wouldn't even tell you to go watch them, because there's really no point. They don't even care if you watch what they air. It's their private investigations they do that are actually kind of cool. And then, as you know, I couldn't take the job at Entertainment News Networks, the other channel, where they offered me a position because of him. And I ended up being very seriously trafficked. So it was a huge effort on his part to be extremely hostile and stalk me and, you know, demand that I not have a work at all and then be trafficked. So I have every right to hate Lauren Sanchez, Larry Sanchez. But if you ever try to come to me and pretend that it's like this sexy woman who's like super domineering and in control and, you know, a hot woman to compete with the other hot women, it's a man. It's a man, people. It's a really ugly little man. And a really nasty pervert and a murderer. And I decided that there's no way, no how that Jeff Bezos could be involved with Laura and Larry Sanchez or whatever and not just be another disgusting pervert. He's gotta be a pedophile. Gotta be. And I don't really have much to do with Amazon anymore either. I really don't. Like, I might look at some stuff on there. It's been sold. It's no longer his company, so we can all use it and not worry about it. But you need to know that about Jeff Bezos. And I wouldn't do anything with India Blue. I really wouldn't. At all. India Blue, India Origins, whatever what is this called? Why did I say India Blue? It's Blue Origin is the aerospace company. BLUEORIGIN. It's listed as Blue Origin Enterprise LP, is an American space technology company headquartered in Kent, Washington. Now, none of the footage actually looked like they had gone into space. It all looked, I think it was all pre-recorded. It's just ridiculously stupid. Anyway, so from here, I'm going to move on into talking about some other stuff, because I had more than enough stuff to think about myself this week. So just to remember, the U.S. government actually fired all the major defense contractors. They cut all contracts to the Department of Defense. And they cut Booz Allen Hamilton, Labad, Accenture. That's going to be CACI2, which I think was actually Larry Sanchez's company at one point. Yeah, so remember those have all been cut. And then you have to understand the game there because all these different people are from the Russian FSB and Chinese CCP. When they came here, used to just be able to call those companies up and like order hits on everybody or to steal from people, and they can't do it anymore because they don't have access to the DoD. Now, what's also important to know is that that's not going to stop them from trying to attack people, but now they're just operating as independent terrorist groups. They don't have the cover of having seized U.S. contracts and pretending to work for the U.S. government, which everyone's only weren't for the last 20 years, so it's been really hard to get rid of them. And you remember what I told you about Secretary Chertoff, who was the original DHS secretary, the first one when DHS was like going nowhere, that he said, Michael Douglas like literally sat in front of me and said that most women tied to Hollywood were not from the U.S. A lot of them were psychopaths. And he said his own wife at the time was. I don't even know how to tie that into this because I don't even think I have time to consider anything else with Catherine Zeta-Jones. I feel like I've covered as much in hers as I'm going to, but I just want you to remember that this goes so far back. And it's taken so long because ever since DHS got started, it was Rumsfeld who figured out that all the contractors needed to be fired. So I didn't know that. But he was the first person I was able to get that through to. It's taken a really long time. Let's move on. There's something really weird going on at Fox. Because Fox and Friends, I don't normally watch it, but they had an episode this week where they were making fun of someone who was murdered. I don't know if their feeds were being ruined, but it looked like a blow-up doll. The pictures they put up of a woman who'd been murdered looked like a blow-up doll. So I think I'm kind of done with Fox and Friends. I mean, I know they got the weird woman off there, but the fact that there's like pictures showing up there on blow-up dolls instead of murder victims, like it's just really sick. I can't tell if somebody hacked their feed or if that's who they are. The other thing we have to be careful about with Blue Origin, I know. So I love that, I call it India Blue, some people call it Cobalt, I also call it Cobalt. The ISIS colors for Blue Origin. Yeah. So I'm not talking, you're going to get confused and think I'm talking about the Muslim group. I'm talking about what the men from Egypt told me about when I did all my research, which is that they thought the cult of ISIS was actually responsible for a lot of the terrorist activity, and I agree. And you have to remember that they do associate with the color blue. Usually it's more like a muted blue, but you have to consider that with Larry Sanchez because they're very much a group that does a lot of trafficking. And the way they're portrayed, like there's no coverage in the media of the old cult of ISIS and the fact that they're actually still running things. And that they cover most, labor trafficking operations somehow stem from them. And you want to call it a cult, and somebody else calls it a terrorist group, and still another person calls it a gang. And, so anyways. There's new legislation in Michigan, state if you live here, that would actually prevent you from swatting. What's supposed to prevent swatting? Let's look at this. Let's go back for a second to Katy Perry. I forgot to say something about this. If anyone is still unclear about this at all. I talked with a bunch of other women this week, actual women, and we were all done with Katy Perry. She was one of the few left that we were still going to say might not be a crazy lunatic trafficker. But the fact of the matter is the woman went and did a huge thing with a bunch of nasty traffickers, some of whom were men, lied about what she did, lied about where she was at, and lied about the kind of people she was with. And I don't think kissing the ground is enough because that's the kind of overdramatic, stupid crap that people do to cover up the fact that they're just another stupid labor trafficker. She's an asshole. She's just another asshole labor trafficker, and we're done. No. No more Katy Perry. Fuck her. Let's see. So, and we're gonna get some fun stuff here too. I have to get through a few more heavier topics. Oh, let's talk about okay, I'm gonna try to talk about music festivals. Coachella was this week. Let's see how long Coachella actually went or is going, because I think last weekend might have been the first. It's 2 consecutive weekends in April. So it's 11th through 13th, and then it's also tonight. So 18th through 20th, you can still be at Coachella for one more night or two if you want. Kind of up to you. I don't go to Coachella or those other festivals, and I don't have a lot of respect for people who do. I saw some of the articles this week about people who have actually taken out loans to go. I think people who take out loans or are forced to pay money to go or might be getting trafficked. But what I think you need to deal with the reality is that there's a lot of people who go that are just part of these cult groups. And, so you don't really need to be jealous. It's important to understand that there are people who go and probably enjoy it and there's no violence and it's not weird. But there's a majority of people that go to those festivals that get killed. And especially Coachella. And it's a very violent, murderous festival. In fact, if you look at the colors used in it, it's really not a very safe place to be at all. Full of cult groups. And so I would never feel jealous or sad for not being at it. In fact, if you're jealous of them at Coachella, do me a favor. Just put on some short jean shorts and a tank top and go for a walk. Because that's all it is. One thing, I've been to like Milwaukee Summerfest. I've gone to some really nice festivals. I don't want to compare and contrast it with some of the smaller ones because I don't like big crowds or being dirty or porta potties. And like Coachella is nothing but craziness and drugs and crowds. And it's just very dangerous. A lot of people get killed at it. And there's also the reality that a lot of people steal in order to go to it. And more than people that I would like to admit, including myself, have been forced to actually subsidize people going to it or in the event itself. I don't want to spend any money or pay for Coachella to exist. I don't think I need it. And it's not okay for someone to get angry at me for not supporting it because I don't have any money to support it. And I don't want to. My money needs to go to me. And did you ever occur that if I had my own money, maybe I would have like gone and done something cool with it? No, you just want to spend mine. It's way too many thug Russian FSB and Chinese CCP people at it. And I just would not have anything to do with it. So, yes. Swatting Michigan, I think it's going to carry a $2,000 fine coming up pretty soon. So don't make false reports. Well, you can make all the reports you want, but don't call a place up and just make up stupid crap about people because you don't like them. It's not cool. And they'll charge you money for it, like thousands of dollars. Just want to remind you, in case you ever forget about any of this, that, the contracting companies that the Department of Defense have now taken to task, remember that there was a bunch of submarines that came into Dubuque, Iowa. We have to remember that they were docked across from Illinois. And the Department of Justice decided that, well, Wisconsin was definitely not guilty. The fact that submarines could dock below the Wisconsin line and across from Illinois meant that there was a potential reality that Illinois was still guilty. And there was a lot of crime in East Dubuque. So, and then you think of Chicago and Illinois, like there's still a connection there because we had a lot of problems with Chicago crime that related to the FSB coming into Dubuque. And you have to consider submarines and when they dock the whole thing, it's like, yeah. So, I'm going to go back to a comment I made about the Trump administration. I'm just going to say that I don't think Karen Levitt and maybe even Trump himself understand background analytics. I saw some of their comments and complaints about CNN. I know they've gotten really good at complaining about CNN and had fun being up on CNN because CNN used to beat up on Republicans a lot. The one problem they have with their strategy is neither of them actually understand background analytics or what they're talking about sometimes with viewers and hits. And I've already explained all of that, so I'm not going to go back into it. But as someone with an actual certification in public relations from an Ivy League school, the lack of awareness there was a little offensive at times. That's all I'm going to say about it. I want to remind you, if you want to name Paula Isley, remember her supposed husband got arrested and they had trafficked other people. I'm 100% sure, and so was everyone else at the investigations down in D.C., that David Berkowitz was actually Paula Isley. So when the U.S. government talks about weird people dressing up as women and trafficking people and committing crimes, which is what they're really focusing on, as opposed to like your friend who's a trans performer or like drag brunches, because David Berkowitz is not a trans performer or a drag bunch person. They're talking about him dressing up as Paula Isley and, being hostile towards me and all the different murders in Florida and the fact that he's not even like supposed to be out and he was actually free. Like the whole thing's just weird. So, and then also, let's compare and contrast this here. I don't feel like it. We've already done the compare and contrast of Coachella, like, versus a baseball game, or like I've gone to baseball games, I've gone to fantastic football games, baseball, basketball, football. I've been to fantastic private parties. There's all kinds of gorgeous events you could go to, you'd be very safe and it'd be worth your money. And you could just pay a reasonable fee to go. Coachella is just not one of them. And then even how they dress for Coachella, like there's a bunch of people now making fun of Coachella, which is really interesting. So, one thing I need to warn you about. So I did watch some Coachella stuff this week. I just want you to understand, you really don't need to be at it. Think of it this way. It's outdoors, porta potties, big crowds, people on drugs, not really very safe. It's not going to be the same experience where you're just in a porta potty and some hand wipes like you'd have at like, going to like Gold Cup or some other outdoor event that's not quite so disgusting and weird. It's, they just aren't cult events. Say hello to Longwell72 from the UK. Hi, Longwell72 from the UK. There's one that says hello. Said hi. Hi. Hi, guys. I'm almost done here. Let's put some music back on because we're kind of towards the end here, and I don't want to just keep showering at you. It's late here in the U.S. I'm getting tired. Ew, she has a Pitbull video worth it. Wow. Heidi Montag. No, this looks terrible. I'm not playing that one. I'm done with Pitbull. But the I'll Do It Heidi Montag fun is kind of... I could totally see that being like an aerobics song. Ooh, somebody slowed it down.
There's power in the word no.
I'm almost at the point of thinking I should sing like some Lana Del Rey for you all again. I did that song for you all last night, but I feel like it'd be more fun if tomorrow I actually, if I can, I'm going to do a live concert for Easter Sunday and the end of Passover week here in the U.S. I think it might be fun. Also, I don't think anyone really needs, like Coachella is kind of stupid. I feel like I need to do something to offset it. Ew, now it's really slow. Can't tell what she's saying. Oh well. So, okay. Guys, gals, I was just watching Coachella this week and I saw Jenny's performance and it just was like, because I did some work for that girl and some work on the Blackpink thing, and it's like Blackpink is so done. And I was listening to AESPA this week, and I'll play their song in a moment. But it's like, as far as YG is concerned, they're just over the group, and they're already moving on. And then, because they've had Baby Monster since then and all these other groups, and it's like Blackpink was their first female group, and now it's down to like Jennie kind of psychotically dancing around and riding the cowboy hat on. And then Lisa looks like some kind of weird Godzilla in a puff coat. It's just bad. And I think what's important to understand is that it's been exposed over time that Lisa's not really singing or performing, and so she's not meeting her performance requirements for YG. And so it's devolved. It's devolved. Not evolved, but devolved into internal fighting at YG and open, outright calling out by other performers who are meeting the YG performance requirements because they're not like Endeavor. And so she actually needs to move companies if she hasn't already, or may have, but she can't be at YG at all and is no longer respected by them because she's lip syncing. Or she's been using another woman that I used to work with and trained with in Zumba as her stand-in, who's from Brazil. Natalia. So, and she's somebody that I think has also benefited from using Uzana Hamilton, the security contractor from Russia, which is, they do Russian and Chinese, or Russian FSP and Chinese CCP. So, it's important to understand that none of this is headed in a good direction right now. Because I don't know if it's going to fall into gang fights, but it's going somewhere, and it may just be them calling each other out, but a lot of the other performers from YG have started to call her out publicly. And the performances from Coachella You know, they were better than a lot of our supposed people. Like, I saw Ciara's shitbag performance. Yeah, I call it a shitbag performance. It was really bad. But as long as these women are going to try to perform, you know, JLo's going to try to perform, Ciara wants to try to perform, it's bad, and it was always bad, and we just have to keep putting them down, you know, and fix how it goes. I won't say Lalisa and Jenny are quite that bad, but you have to remember that Lalisa is not needing a performance department there. And she's also someone who took material from me and never paid for it. So I don't know where it's going, but you know, I said she was about to start to get bad, and she kind of is. You can see it that she's like petering out. It's the old term. But I think the big thing to notice about her material is that it's not the same quality that it was, and also she doesn't have as much for me anymore because she didn't bother to pay me. So same thing with Tate McRae. She's running out of material. She's reached the end of what she had for me. Anyways, you know, believe me, when they suddenly drop off and it gets like really, really bad, it's because they were getting material from me or somebody else, and they used up all their stuff. So, let's do the song by, let's do some AESPA, the new girls group that's like from YG, that's like really at it, really on it, really on it.
One look, give 'em a flash. Beat drop it a big flash. 집중해 좀 think fast. 이건 아니야 못해. Wait till I know I did that. They want no been bad. Don't stop believing tell. 우리 애들 can't touch that. I'm pushing by something. Can you focus?
So what's happening now is that there's been some call-outs from some of the other people at YG telling Lalisa to not even bother turning on her microphone because they know she's using a playback. Yeah. And then you consider all the other groups they're coming out, and it's like, oh. I feel like Coachella is just where people go when they get bad or already kind of bad. Do you feel like that? And Heidi Montag apparently has already been out, but just as a visitor, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, I think the big thing right now is that we're all just kind of waiting for this PDB thing to go down, aren't we? Because of the trafficking, the terrorist attacks, the way it all turned out to tie together, and we finally got all these defense contractors fired, there's just 3 more of them fired. And then yet I'm sitting up here like, we have way too many serial killers that are supposed to have been put away, free up there. It is because of Booz Allen Hamilton and CACI and Labat and Accenture wishing and pushing these guys until he's going right back out of prison, right? Because they think like JLo was in prison and then she's been let out. Because I saw that with a bunch of other people in the industry, that they were nasty terrorists and supposed to be put away, and they're like free because of these contracting groups that are being fired. Okay, I think I'm really done for the night. It was good to see you all before Easter. If I can, tomorrow I'm going to do a little concert. I don't feel like being tonight. I will show you this. I do have a roast prepared for tomorrow. Anyway, sorry about that. So we are totally done. I will see you all soon. Again, there'll be a concert probably tomorrow unless something changes. If not, look for upcoming episodes this week of Simply Stated. And just to let you know, I am doing really well still in the Maximum Icon competition. I'm still in it, and so I want to thank you all for your votes. And please keep checking in when I have shows, which I announce kind of in advance, but you know, I don't really, I don't know, I don't give like a ton of.
If you told me a few years ago.
Really. That's just kind of how I do things, so. This stuff is just really strange. I don't know. I don't really think of it like the kids today. I just think of it like the industry where it's at, right? Have a good one.
One look, give 'em whiplash. Beat drop it a big flash. 집중해줘, nothing fast. 이혼 언니 못해. Wait till no one did that.